Welcome to the NCDWI Guide podcast, where defenders of the Constitution assemble to prepare for courtroom battle and firm owners gather to develop marketing strategies that will revolutionize the practice of criminal defense. Here's your host, the NCDWI guy, Jake Minnick.
Hello, fellow freedom fighters, and welcome to episode 89 of the NCDWI Guy podcast. On today's episode, we are talking about gratitude. It's the last episode of 2021. Time to reflect on this past year. Time to think about the good things that have happened in our lives, in our practices this past year. So it's an opportunity for gratitude right here following Christmas, couple days after Christmas, and the joy of being with loved ones, family members, friends, having some time off, time away from the office, time away from the pressures of practicing. A good opportunity going into 2022 to really take account of the wonderful blessings that we have in our lives. This podcast is about making North Carolina DWI lawyers' lives better. That's the primary focus. That's the primary audience, and that's the primary focus. You know, if you're not a North Carolina lawyer, if you're not a lawyer at all, there's still things to benefit from listening to the podcast. But the goal for me in creating this podcast was to help my brothers and sisters that practice law here in North Carolina improve their lives, improve their practices by giving marketing and branding insights, talking with some great business lawyers that can help us improve our practice areas. I know that many of the guests that we've had on the podcast have really helped me in that way. And then also to help your clients in the courtroom by focusing on practice area specific issues. That's the goal of the podcast. But ultimately, my wish for you as a listener is that you have a happier life as a result of listening to the podcast, that you have a more fulfilled practice as a result of listening to the podcast. And so we take an episode here and there that is more of the big picture look at life. And I think that gratitude is something that is critical to happiness in practice, critical to happiness in life. Gratitude is key to a fulfilled and joyful life. So that's why we're going to focus on that today. We've had a couple of episodes over the past year, or a little bit longer than that kind of focused on mental health issues. So I'm going to talk about a couple of those right now. If you want to take a listen to episode 65, mental health for the DUI defender. We had Holden on that episode to talk to us about mental health, and that's his kind of passion project, Holden Clark, to talk to us about mental health. And he talked a lot about gratitude and really spending time in gratitude. So that's a good episode to go listen to if you're kind of wanting to improve further on the gratitude end of things. A little over a year ago, on episode 37, we did watching the 2020 game film. And I recently referenced that episode. This is a good time to go listen to that because you can apply all the lessons from episode 37 to 2021 as well in terms of looking back. And in that episode about watching the game film, that was kind of spawned by this spiritual practice of doing a nightly examine. And part of the nightly examine spiritual exercise is to look back at the areas that you did poorly at in the day. So, this is a daily spiritual exercise, the nightly examine. So to look back at your day and to decide what things you didn't do well at, what things that you kind of did not perform on, and then make a resolution to do better on them the next day. So to find very specifically where you failed, where you came up short, where you half-assed it, all of those things, and then make a resolution to do better the next day. to improve the next day on those specific areas. But another part of the nightly exam, and this is where gratitude comes in, another part of the nightly exam that is very critical is to spend time just sitting presently in the things that you were grateful for the day, to account the blessings that you had that day, and to really just sit in those blessings, to understand the beauty and joy and gifts that you were given throughout the day. And outside of the spiritual nightly examine exercise, outside of that spiritual exercise, many people that practice in mental health, in improving your mindset, in reflecting, talk about the importance of gratitude in improving your mental health. It's a very critical piece to focus on. And again, if we're trying to improve ourselves as lawyers, if we're trying to be the best lawyer for our client that we can be, the best lawyer for our business that we can be, including our employees, including the teammates that work around us, including our colleagues in the bar, if we want to be the best lawyer that we can be, we got to work on ourselves first. And gratitude is an easy way to really focus on your own mental health improvement. It's a huge part of many spiritual exercises. One of my favorite saints is a recent saint, Saint Gianna Molla. She was born less than 100 years ago, born in 1922. So we're at almost 100 years from the year of her birth. She died with complications from childbirth of her fourth daughter, and had a very brave and just resilient pregnancy. She was a pediatrician, so she was a doctor. So just a cool a story in terms of her medical experience and kind of the influence that had in terms of her own healthcare decisions as she was trying to take care of her fourth baby. But the first time ever that her husband got to attend a canonization ceremony was when she was canonized a saint in 2004. So her husband got to be present at the canonization ceremony, but just a cool hero in terms of the life of service that she led. She was very passionate about healthcare, about social justice projects, taking care of her own family. Just a amazing woman, as many of the saints are. I mean, their stories of heroism are so cool and inspiring and wonderful us to take a look at. But she had this to say about gratitude. The secret of happiness is to live moment by moment and to thank God for what he is sending us every day in his goodness. The secret of happiness is to live moment by moment and to thank God for what he is sending us every day in his goodness. So just this inspiring, incredible woman says that the secret of happiness is to live in the present and to be grateful to God, but to have this attitude of gratitude. Live in the present and have an attitude of gratitude. That, I think, is so important for us as lawyers. It is such an important thing. And I think it is one of the places that it's one of the places that we, I think, could improve on as a criminal defense bar, is to really reflect on the blessings of our lives. One of the things that I have seen over my years of practice is that many a time in whether it's people that are in the lawyer lounge, people that are sitting in the courtroom, talking to one another. So defense attorneys talking to one another, doing so in the lawyer lounge, doing so in other common areas of the courthouse. We have a disposition almost towards complaining. We really have like a disposition of kind of talking about this difficult client that we have, this difficult case, the DA that's been unmovable in terms of their position or problematic to work with, the difficult judge that we're having issues with that day, the fact that it's raining outside, whatever thing it is. It's kind of almost this point of connection of, hey, let's have this shared experience of complaining about this or that thing. And I've been guilty of this many a time. So don't read this as some sort of preachy, hey, don't do this. But it really is, I think, a problematic thing that we need to eliminate as a criminal defense bar is complaining to one another, complaining about, this particular hurdle that we're going through, complaining about this particular client. And it's so difficult to eliminate the complaining, but it can start with us, right? It can start with each one of us individually to say, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter what difficulty I am dealing with in the courtroom, with a client, with a colleague, with a teammate, whatever it might be, whatever obstacle is presented, to find the good in it, to find the blessing that we have been given. It's easy to count your blessings as they come in, and you think back and you reflect on the good things. And 2021 for me personally has been a year of incredible blessings. My faith has grown dramatically this year. I've found a great church community. My family, my wife has just been is such an inspiration to me. Is so wonderful at taking care of me, at taking care of our kids, at calling me to be a better human being. My kids have challenged me, but have presented a lot of things to be very grateful for, in terms of just the small things, a little hug, a sweet thing that they will say to me. My youngest has this new thing where when I leave, she will give me this hug and she'll hold on forever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how much longer is this hug going to go sometimes? But it's just such a real and a wonderful hug. And then she will tell me, my heart likes you, Daddy. Or sometimes either my heart likes you or my heart loves you, Daddy. And it's just this most amazing and beautiful thing that another human being can say to you. So there's just so many blessings that I've received in my family life, in the work realm, best year at the law firm from my financial perspective. But more importantly, the team that I have is the most incredible group of human beings. It is an incredible thing to come into the office every day and get to work with the people that I get to work with. I'm so blessed on that front, so fortunate. So when you sit down and think about all of the small things that we are blessed with in our lives, you can create a long list. But I also think it's important to start getting into the practice of finding the blessings that come from difficulties in our lives, finding the blessings that come from the struggles that we encounter, not just the good days, but finding the blessings on the crappy days, on the difficult days. That is really where I think gratitude can completely change your mental health. It's to find the good in difficulties, the good in struggles, the good in problems. There is a YouTube video that I've referenced in the past, and it's called Good. It's by Jocko Willink. I've got the Jocko Willink sign behind me. I have repeatedly talked about his podcast on this podcast. He's one of my heroes. And Jocko Willink has this video called Good. Look it up, watch it. It's inspiring. And what that video does is it says, when you are presented with a difficulty, when you are presented a problem, when you are presented some sort of circumstance that really leaves you struggling for answers, your response should be good. Find the good in that situation. Find the lesson in that situation. Find the value in the struggle that you're having to deal with. Look for the good, because by having that attitude of gratitude, we can truly create this situation where we are looking for ways of showing appreciation to others. By having this attitude of gratitude, the definition of gratitude is the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation for and to return kindness. By recognizing the blessings that we have in our own lives, we foster this attitude of wanting to share that with other people. We want to share that goodness with other people. We want to share share what we have been given to others. So it is this kind of outgoing virtue, this virtue of gratitude, this attitude of gratitude. We want to bring other people into that feeling that we are having, that state of being that is gratitude. So again, be present and be grateful. The opposite of gratitude is ingratitude, right? So that's easy. But I really think it's this sense of resentment, right? Complaining, resentment. What does that lead to? When we're complaining about things and resentful about things, life is so hard. This case is so hard. I had to wake up early today. I had to go to court today, and I didn't get that the case resolved that I was hoping to have taken care of. And I had to sit around in court for 3 hours when all I needed was a continuance. This mindset of complaining leads to resentment. The more we complain about stuff, the more resentful we get about things. And resentment leads to envy. It leads to jealousy. It leads to a selfish mindset. Gratitude leads to selflessness. Complaining, resentment lead to selfishness, being inward focused. Here's my problem. Here's what's happened to me. Gratitude says, I realize I'm not responsible for all of the blessings in my life. Something outside of me is responsible for that, for these gifts that I have been given, right? There is a gift, a blessing in my life that I have been given, and I'm not really responsible for creating that. I am truly a recipient of this blessing. And because I recognize the gift, because I recognize the value of this blessing that I have been given, that then leads me to a place where I want to share that with others, share that with the world. And so that is why this is such an important thing for us as a criminal defense bar, because again, what do we ultimately want as human beings? We want to be happy, right? And that is, again, part of the reason, one of the major reasons that I'm doing this podcast is to help other people have a better practice, to try to elevate the service that we bring to clients, to try to help us elevate the level of experience and expertise that we have in the courtroom. But fundamentally, again, what we're trying to do is lead happier and more fulfilled lives. Because if we do that, we're going to want to share that with others. Because the way that we change the world is to have this attitude of gratitude. So, homework assignment for this week. Couple of days left in 2021. If you don't get to listen to this until January, hey, do it in January. But sit down, set aside some time and think about the blessings that you have had in 2021. Think about the gifts that you have received in 2021. Then if you want to take it to the extreme, take this attitude of gratitude to the next level, follow the spiritual exercise of the nightly examine, where every day at the end of the day, you reflect on the gifts of the day. This is not just some, woo-woo psychological self-help nonsense, right? This is key to living a fulfilled and happy and rewarding and outgoing life. So make it happen. I look forward to speaking with y'all in 2022. If you found the information in this podcast to be valuable, I simply ask that you pay it forward and share this podcast with another member of the legal community. Also, if you would leave us a rating or a review on whatever platform you are listening on, I would greatly appreciate it.